Welcome into sportsbookreview.com. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And this is the College Football Show Week 15, the week before championship week. I'm excited. I'm ready to roll. We got some good matchups this week. We don't have a big headliner. Army-Navy's a headliner.
I was about to say, man, I don't know about that.
For the playoff stuff, we don't have a big headliner this weekend.
Okay.
But that's okay, because this is still football. We've got games being canceled all over creation. And it doesn't matter because we still get football. I have to explain this to people on Twitter all the time. It's still football.
We would have sold our soul in June and July to make sure we got something that looked like football. And we didn't just get something that looked like football. We're getting here.
We're almost a full season.
We're finishing the season. Now, we're not all finishing the same way. We're not all finished at the same time. But it's important that we all finish.
That is a very nice way of putting that. Hopefully everybody catches what you're throwing. But that's it. So, no, we're not getting Ohio State and Michigan this week. And
maybe not at all.
We can go ahead and start off with that. Now the Big Ten is in a very interesting predicament because they have to decide, are checks more important than integrity, right? And I understand the rules were created back in, August or September, whatever it was. And it's a weird year anyway, so what does it matter? Well, what matters is your word.
Yeah, that's the most important thing to me is why do we make rules if we're not going to stick with them?
Exactly. So
it's how we get ourselves in trouble all the time.
We
make rules just for having rules' sake, but then when we don't want to follow them, it's okay to not follow them. Who is the determiner of what rules are important to follow and what rules aren't?
I agreed. CBS has caught the brunt of a lot of this season. They have lost so many SEC football games.
Yes.
Texas A&M, Ole Miss off the board. Several other games off the board. Ohio, Kent State, Cincinnati, Tulsa, another really good game that is no longer on there.
That's right.
We have lost some big games that we were going to talk about this week, but that's okay because we still got some other big games that we're gonna hit on. James jumps in already. Hey, BYU will play Ohio State.
I bet they would too.
Hey, I bet A&M would play Ohio State. So
right.
It's not going to happen. But
no, Ohio State's going to cower in their shell. And
yeah, Willie Jones said, so what happens to Ohio State if they don't have this sixth win? Well, so they're going to try and move the schedule around a little bit. And we're waiting to figure out what happens with that. But we'll see. I mean, who knows? The ADs so far, Barry Alvarez and the AD at Michigan have both come out and said that we're going to revisit the rule. Yep. And after this weekend, we'll figure out where we need to be going into the Big Ten championship game. So who knows? It's basically whatever they decide on, checks or integrity, one or the other.
So someone commented on here. He says, what happens if Purdue ends up beating Indiana? Need answers. The thing is if Purdue beats Indiana still got the best winning percentage in the East.
Yes.
Based on the rules that they set. It wasn't about winning percentage. The most important thing was you have to have a minimum of 6 games played, not 6 games won.
And if there's a tie, then it goes to CFP ranking. However, there would be no tie here because Ohio State would not have the adequate number of games.
Rule number 1, meet this minimum. You must be this tall to ride the ride.
Simple enough.
And Ohio State, as of right now, unless we can find them an opponent, ain't this tall.
Exactly. All right, let's dive into everything you need to know. Go over to sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. It's got everything you need over there. Deep dives into all the biggest games and the smaller games. Wherever they have found an edge, the crew over there is going to let you know they've got articles on everything over there. So that's your one-stop shop. You can shop for lines as well over there. So go and check it out, sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. Our articles will be up over there later on in the week, either tomorrow or probably Thursday. So lots to do over there. You can also go over to sbrpicks.com/pick6. That's PICK and the number 6. Easy to do. You enter in for free, and then you can win your share of $1,600 in cash prizes, or just the whole $1,600. And just go and make sure that you are signed up. You can pick NFL games, college games, whichever way you want to go with it. If you're watching the video right now, go ahead and do us a favor. Hit that like button. It's the little thumbs up. I do this every show. You see what this looks like. It's a thumbs up right down there at the bottom. Go ahead and hit that for us. Make sure you are subscribed. We are going to have a video for every single bowl game. We are here live on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Saturdays throughout the duration of the season. We have a good time. So make sure that you get notified, hit that little bell, all that good stuff, and that way you know when we are going live. Make sure that you comment on the show. Tell us what your lines are. Tell us where you think there's an edge. And make sure you share the show out. Tell your friends about it. All that good stuff. That helps us out way more than you know. We certainly appreciate all of you jumping in all season long with us. We have had a fantastic time. We'll go ahead and let you know. And I'm going to tell you again throughout the show here, we're not going to talk about every game. We don't have time. We will try to, but there's too many games. Even with the cancellations, we're just not going to be able to do it. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Gary WCE.
I'm at Chris B. Giannini.
And we will respond to you. We will talk about whatever game you want to talk about. If you feel one way or another, we'll let you know which way we're thinking, whether we're playing it or not, why we would, why we wouldn't, etc. So hit us up on Twitter.
I'll talk to you about anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
I mean,
if you guys hit me up about some barbecue this weekend.
There you go.
I was cooking some ribs. Told them how I made it. It was awesome.
It's good stuff. Rob jumps in on here. He said, best show on YouTube.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Rob.
Ryan said, Purdue let me down last week.
A lot of people let me down last week. Casey talked about how worst betting weekend of the year. I only went 3-4, which is really not that bad considering how I started the season.
Well, let's jump into the recap.
Okay.
Let's go and jump into the recap.
Let's do that.
Because I went 2-5 last week.
That's pretty bad. I've been there.
It was so bad.
It's a rough feeling.
I am 46-50-2 on the season. I started out hot out the gates and have crashed.
You never want to peak in high school.
Oh man,
that's just a bad move to peak.
You got that right. 47.
I am now beating you in the percentages.
Yes, you are. I'm
did
at 47,
not think that would happen.
47.92% for me. 48.39% for you. You are 45-48. Chris was 3-4 last week, as he said. It was rough. William Bush said, always reaching out. They are always answering. These guys are great. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Tom Lowe said, Florida screwed me.
Oh.
Hey, I got more questions in my DMs last week about Akron and Bowling Green. You guys are disgusting for wanting to bet on that game. Like what? Those are awful football teams.
Gary,
and I said,
don't let him call you that, because all last year and the year before and the year before that he and I have been doing our stuff. Gary is always talking about games that I don't even know are playing. I didn't even know were happening. And Gary's like, I'm betting on this game. It's like, I didn't know those two universities existed.
But here's
don't let him talk any trash about
your
here's bad
the
plays.
Here's the difference. I look for any line that has an edge.
You do.
Right?
And if you find it in a high school football game, you will take it.
There you go. However, there was no edge in Akron and Bowling Green. They were both bad. And now I did tell everybody, like, I would take Akron.
Well,
I feel like
we both said that. I thought I did like Akron.
So let's go on and move into the first big game. You ready for this?
Sure. Let's fire away.
Let's do it. Navy and Army coming at you from Army's home field for the first time
West Point, baby.
I mean, almost 100 years, it feels like. It is ridiculous. Michie Stadium is where it is. It's 3 p.m. Eastern time on CBS. Army, a 7-point favorite. Total is now sitting at 38. And that still might be too many points.
And I was about to say, it needs to go in that direction. when it was 40, what it opened? 41?
41 and a half, I think.
Yeah. I was like, oh, no, they're not hitting 40s.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this. I've got a couple of family members that are military guys. I did not know that I had a family member that married into the family. Not only went to West Point, but is now an administrator at West Point.
That is,
I mean, they're pretty distant down the road. This is why I didn't know these things. But now that I did, I might see when the Rona lifts if I can.
My wife
get us a visit up there, because I'll tell you this, that area of New York is beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous. My wife got to go when she was in college, and like one of her high school boyfriends or whatever invited her up for some end of the year formal or something. And
I've always wanted to go to a game at both the academy. I'd love to go to all three academies, all Colorado.
Yeah,
beautiful.
So, but she said that it was gorgeous up there. I'd love to go.
I do know that area of New York is awesome.
Army 3-1 straight up in their last 4 against Navy. They are 2-2 against the spread in that time span. They covered 4 straight at one point when they were losing.
Yep.
And now, they lost last year, but they did, they take that back. They did not cover. They covered 4 straight, and then they have not covered the last two. Navy won 31-7 last season. Army was not as good as we anticipated last year. Army this year 2-3 against the spread. Now they're 7-2 straight up.
They started off the season being one of those teams that we thought they got a chance to be special. Then they ran into the Storm and Mormons, and it all
no.
went south.
Navy is who.
Oh, that's right.
They played BYU. Army lost to Cincinnati.
So that was the one they got rolled by.
The situation with Army, the reason why they're 2-3 against the spread, but they're 7-2 straight up, is because they played so many FCS opponents and there wasn't a line. Right? So those lines, for most of these research accounts, they just don't count them. So you might have seen a line for it, against Morgan State or whatever. That's not going to count against their spread record.
That's right.
2-3 against the spread, but 2-1 against the spread at home. Navy 2-5 against the spread. They're 3-6 straight up. They are 1-3 against the spread on the road. Not good. In the last 2 weeks against Memphis and against Tulsa, they have scored 7 and 6 points. Not good.
But that's Navy football.
It is right now.
We score 7 and 6 points.
Yeah, it's so early in the season. We saw what they were like against BYU. And then they had an uptick. They started scoring some points. They kind of got some stuff figured out. Then they had some injuries. They had to shift their roster around, and they have been putrid ever since. The Tulane game is a long time ago. Long time ago, when we all thought
I was done with them.
But you were done with Tulane too.
I was
like
done
after
with
that
Tulane.
game.
Oh no.
Woo.
Me and Will Hall had some words.
Yes. So James said Navy has been covering the last couple of weeks. No, they did not cover against Tulsa.
Nope.
That was one of my losses. Tulsa kicked a field goal with 2 minutes left that got them a win by 13. The line was 12.
They covered against the worst Memphis offense I have seen
since before Norvell.
I was just about to say.
Before,
I was about to dime out old Tommy, but he had some pretty bad offenses.
What was the guy's name? Larry Porter.
Larry Porter was pretty bad also.
Yeah,
he was before. He was after Tommy, but before
he was before Fuente. Before Fuente. So either way, the team total for Navy is the way that I'm going in this game. One of my official picks, Navy's team total is 14.5. I am playing the under all day on that.
It's probably smart.
I don't think. I mean, I don't think Navy has any shot in this game. Now that's weird to say, because obviously they have won a lot against Army ever since Ken Niumatalolo has been there.
I was just about to say, I think they got a hell of a shot. I don't like them, but that doesn't mean I haven't been wrong as wrong can be a lot.
Yeah. So. I like the under here. Navy blew out Army last year. Jeff Monken has pointed to this game quite a bit.
This is the revenge factor. I like Army in this game. I think they started the season being the better football team.
Yes.
I think throughout the season, at no point in time have I ever thought Navy's the better football team than Army. At no point at Navy's peak and at Army's downfall of the drumming of Cincinnati. That's the game I was thinking of.
Yeah.
That would be a fantastic game on black turf.
It certainly would.
2 black uniforms. Television would hate it. I'd want to be there. I think there's a world in which Army could just take out a lot of frustrations from last year on them.
That's kind of where I'm leaning in this. I would also side Army. My official play for the game will be Navy's team total under 14.5. So we will move on from there. And let's go to North Carolina at Miami. Now, the Hurricanes open a 3-point favorite at home. 67.5 is the total. A lot of points here. It's 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on ABC. It's at Hard Rock Stadium down in Miami. Prediction Tracker has Miami minus 5.8 here. And I tend to agree with them. North Carolina beat them last year, 28-25. North Carolina 3-2 straight up, 4-1 against the spread the last 5 against Miami. So they have fared well even when they were not doing well, partly because Miami was also not doing well.
Right.
So North Carolina 1-3 against the spread their last 4 games as a dog. They're a dog again. Miami 5-2 against the spread as a favorite this year. People are still having a hard time buying into the fact that Miami could actually be pretty good. I think this is a well-coached team. Look, my biggest stat here, North Carolina, number 100 in EPA per rush defense. Miami's pretty good running the football.
Yeah.
I think Miami will be able to put up points here. Now, I expect both teams to put up points, but Miami's defense is pretty good.
I agree with that. My problem with that stat is Miami didn't play the running teams in the ACC the way North Carolina did. I think if Miami would have played Notre Dame, their run defense would look a whole lot worse than it does now.
I mean, maybe so.
I think if Miami
but this is North Carolina's rush defense that I'm talking about.
I
They're
know
number
that
100.
North Carolina had to play
But
Notre Dame.
you're saying
North
Miami's,
Carolina had to.
Yes.
Their numbers are skewed. North Carolina's rush defense, I don't think is that bad. I think they played some teams that they run the football on everybody.
Yeah, I mean, they gave up, 40 some odd points to Virginia Tech. Now,
Yes.
They put up 56 on them.
Yeah, that was one of the game of the year, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a weird. Was the perfect COVID year game, right? It was just crazy.
All right, now somebody brought a little.
Mac Brown fired Manny in 2013. Any factor in that towards the game? 100%.
Yeah, a whole lot. But here's the thing. I kind of want to go with the old man. Maybe it's because I'm just feel like I'm getting to be an old man. I think this is the most evenly matched ACC game we're going to have all year.
Miami has a chance to finish their season with one loss for the first time since Larry Coker was around. I think that means something to them. Now, they're not going to play for an ACC championship. No. They're not going to play for the playoffs, anything like that. I think that this was a building year. They've got recruiting momentum. They've got coaching momentum. The players love playing for this coaching staff. I think that it means something to them. North Carolina, I would imagine that they're like, this is where we get into the part of the season where you're trying to play psychiatrist, right?
Yes.
Like figure out where the motivation is. I think Miami wants this more. They're at home.
I don't know, because I think Mac Brown is a crotchety old man, and he wants to fight.
I mean, maybe.
He wants to finish strong. He knows that he didn't play. This team did not live up to the billing that they had all year. The problem is this.
Casey wants to bring up one game. Miami defense looked horrible against NC State, but I think that was an outlier. Yes. But a lot of games are going to be outliers in a season like this.
The problem is the best player on the field all night, we think, is on Miami, right?
Yes.
That's my.
I think De'Aaron King is the best just overall football player on the field. Now Sam Howell's good.
I think
the two running backs
quarterback than Sam.
I think Sam's a better passer.
Well, yeah, but that's not how the quarterback position is played. You have to look at their whole game.
I think he's a better decision maker for sure, and I think that's the biggest part of being a quarterback.
Okay, you're probably right on that.
So that's why I'm leaning this way. Miami will be an official pick for me. The line is sitting at 3, pretty much across the board. You can't get a 2.5 out there. Nope. So, but it's more people are betting North Carolina right now than Miami.
I'm leaning more going with Mac. It won't be a play of mine on here.
This is an official play for me.
That's good.
Like I'll be trusting this.
If I don't have money on it personally, I'll be pulling for you then.
I appreciate that.
We got to get out of the muck.
You got that right. You've got that right. Speaking of muck, let's move on. Wisconsin heads to Kinnick Stadium against Iowa, and that line has flipped. It is now Iowa +1 at home with a total of 42. This feels like too many points again. This feels like a slog fest. This was because Wisconsin has scored 6 against Indiana, 7 against Northwestern, and now they've got Iowa.
But Iowa's defense isn't Indiana or Northwestern.
No, they certainly are not. But they have the potential to be.
They're good.
If they don't turn the football over.
They're the next phase of good.
If they don't turn the football over, they can 100% hold Wisconsin down.
Yep.
They've got a really good run defense.
They do have that.
As far as yards per play defense goes, Wisconsin number 4 in the country at giving up 4.31 yards per play. Iowa number 6, 4.51 yards per play. So if they don't turn the football over, we got a chance to have like a 17-10 ball game.
The problem is teams turn the football over sometimes, and there's nothing you can do about it, especially against good defenses that take it away.
No, you're right.
Both of these defenses are good at punching balls out if they're not good at just stripping them away or interceptions. And that's the caveat is it all looks good until the other team starts taking the football away.
When it starts to get messy, then it becomes a whole different ballgame.
Now, I do think the line movement is correct. In my opinion, I thought Wisconsin should have been favored when this thing started. Not by a lot.
Agreed.
Not by a lot. I was shocked to see Iowa favored in what it was, 2.5.
I want to say 3. Opened 3.
Full 3.
Was quickly down.
And I just thought that's grossly too many points. Now we've got the line where I think it should be.
So last year, Wisconsin won the ballgame 24-22. Now that was at Camp Randall. Over the last 8 games,
that was at Camp Randall with 80,000 people jumping around in the fourth quarter.
Agreed. That was also Nate Stanley playing quarterback, a whole lot of other stuff going on, right?
Yes.
AJ Epinesa, all those wonderful Iowa players. Iowa, in their last 8 against Wisconsin, 1-7 straight up, and they are 3-5 against the spread. I think the under is that might be the obvious play.
That's scary.
But that's where it gets scary, right? It's only 42.
I just want to know, is Mertz really this bad? Because we've seen him be great, and then we've seen him be really bad, but the 2 teams he's been bad against
have great defenses.
Kind of been proven to give everybody fits.
Yes. Now, Iowa can absolutely give people fits.
Correct.
And that's where you got to figure out, if I were going to pick this game, now I'm not making an official play on this one.
I'm not either, but I will be betting on this game.
If I had to pick a side here, I would want to roll Iowa. I don't know that it's right. Like, you remember how much money Iowa has made me over the years. I
know. You bought Iowa gear last year.
I mean, they were covering at a just ridiculous rate for me, and they were not covering when I bet against them. So they were perfect in my book. So I'm going to give you something that has nothing to do with football at all. But it's ridiculous, but it's how my brain works. I want, with all of my being, to take Wisconsin. But I'm so GD pissed off at Barry Alvarez right now for being such a coward. And he didn't fight at the beginning of the year when his team was dealing with COVID stuff. They thought they wouldn't get to 6 games. And I don't think they did get to 6 games. Maybe no. This will be they're 2-2 right now.
Yeah. So they're not getting to 6 games. He didn't fight for his school, but he'll fight for Ohio State to get exceptions, but not his team to get exceptions, because he wants that paycheck. And anybody who will sell their school for money, no, sir. No, sir. I don't do that. We don't do that here. No, sir.
I can agree. I can agree.
Not a fan, Barry. You disappoint me.
Yeah. This one is 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on FS1.
I do think this is going to be a fantastic ball game, though.
I think so too. All right, moving on. Game number 4 for us. USC heads to Pasadena to face off against UCLA. USC, a 3-point favorite, and all the bettors are on USC right now. So they got that massive win over Washington State. 38 to 13, but it was 35 to nothing.
35 to nothing after the
early in the second
3
quarter.
minutes into the second quarter.
Yes. And then they just called the dogs off. They got 5 turnovers from the Cougars. Everybody has jumped on USC. UCLA, like, the line isn't moving. And I think there's a reason why that line isn't moving. I think they want people to load up on USC. The total 61.5 here. Prediction tracker, by the way, on Wisconsin was Wisconsin minus half a point. So in this spot, prediction tracker has USC minus 3.96. USC 4-1 straight up, 3-2 against the spread. Their last 5 against UCLA. This is the 7:30 p.m. Eastern time game on ABC. It's at the Rose Bowl. So we'll get to see what the Rose Bowl is going to look like with no fans, right?
We saw that a lot last year.
Yeah.
Last couple of years. Chargers played there.
2019, USC beat them 52-35. UCLA is number 29 in the country in yards per play defense. And I think that surprises a lot of people. Their defense has kind of come around this year.
That's right. Like, all those takeaways help your defensive stats a lot.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
The best defense is to not play defense.
Right. And
you take the ball away, you get to go sit down.
UCLA has done a pretty good job of creating turnovers this year. Not the same as USC.
No.
USC is, their opponents are averaging 3 turnovers a game. UCLA is not that. Think about that stat. That is just absurd.
I know.
So these are 2 pretty good passing defenses. I think the question here is the running defense, and it's USC that has the weaker rushing defense, and UCLA can run the ball a little bit. I like UCLA in this game. Like, it's the contrarian view.
I feel like this is one of those. Now, USC is not Alabama. They're not Clemson. They're not Ohio State. They're not Notre Dame this year. They're not one of these big boy schools that you're afraid to step in front of. But they're still a big enough school, and we just saw them run over somebody like a train.
Yes.
I'm going to step in front of this train. I am going to take UCLA +3. Years and years, now this has been insane since I've been alive, but years and years ago, Chip Kelly at Oregon, and it was just let her rip, Tater Chip. He has got a quarterback. This offense looks like he's finally getting things the way he wants it. I've just felt for years, he's not as bad as he's looked the last several years. How did he go from being a great head coach to being pitiful? And I think he just couldn't get the talent he needed. I still don't know that he's got the talent he needs to really hang with USC.
But this is his third season, and he's developed some.
It's a weird COVID year. We've got some development going on, but I also think the other teams are being pulled down because of the lack of the ability to train and practice. And so what he has is able to play up to those standards and those lines. And every now and then, little brother just gets big brother.
This season was the first time that he had ever been above 500 at UCLA.
I know.
Is that not crazy?
I can't believe that those things are true following his career the way I have.
Yeah. I mean, it's just insane to think about. I do like UCLA here. I like them in the spot. Their defense, I think, will show up. Let's see. Dominic jumps in. SC has a bad track record against running quarterbacks.
I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me.
No,
they're taking the ball away a lot, but how? I don't know.
I don't either, but I do feel good about the UCLA pick here. Zach, you think that's going to be one of your plays?
It is a play.
It is a play.
UCLA +3 play.
I can get with it. All right, moving on, and big game number 5 is not a usual one. Nevada against San Jose State. This is for the other slot in the Mountain West Conference title game. We know, or at least we believe, yes, Boise is going to be there, right? Correct. If Nevada beats San Jose State, they will be in the title game, presumably against Boise, we think. Now, San Jose State is undefeated right now. And Boise's undefeated in conference.
Yeah, I was about to say Boise's undefeated in conference.
Then we got to figure out tiebreakers and whatnot if Boise loses to Wyoming.
Amount of conference games.
Right. So it's a little crazy because San Jose State and Boise, that got canceled a few weeks ago, right, which would have been a monster.
We need that game. We need to find a way to get that game.
Well, we might, so long as San Jose State takes care of business.
That's right.
So the prediction tracker has San Jose State minus 4.46 here. The line is sitting at San Jose State minus 2.5. 58 is the total. Yep. About where I think it should be.
I was going to say, right around 58-62.
Yep. Now, this is a late night game. This is a Friday game, 10 p.m. Eastern time. It's on CBS Sports Network. And the crazy thing about this is San Jose cannot play in San Jose. So they've had to move the game, and they have moved it to Nevada. Like, remember last week?
It's just the easiest thing to tell them to go play on
the road. But here's the thing. They're playing it in Vegas. It's at Sam Boyd Stadium, UNLV's old stadium.
That's right.
And I love it.
Yes.
I love it because Reno is about 3 hours away from Vegas. And San Jose, that's a little trip. But even still, it's not super far. There's no real home field advantage. Not that anybody really has it this year, but it at least makes it a little bit more uncomfortable for Nevada as well, right? They're having to travel as well. Like Hawaii didn't have to travel at all last week. And San Jose still put a boot in that rear end. I like San Jose State here. Now, here's the issue. San Jose State 1-9 in their last 10 against Nevada. Like, they have had them handled. The Wolfpack, Jay Norvell, they know what they're doing. But Brett Brennan has got this thing turned around.
It's a different San Jose State team.
Yes.
This is a completely different. If you're looking at historical numbers, you can't judge San Jose by those numbers.
Right.
Because they've never been this good.
2-1-1 against the spread against Nevada the last 4. Last year, Nevada won 41-38. San Jose State is 5-0 straight up, 4-0-1 against the spread this year. Nevada 6-1 straight up, 5-2 against the spread. Both of them good at covering the spread.
I agree.
Both pretty good football teams.
Agree. I think it's going to be a fun game.
I think it's going to be fascinating.
Oh, no. This will be a late night coffee game for me.
Oh,
I'll be up Friday night watching this. No.
And then we're going to wake up bleary-eyed and get ready to jump on and do SBR. But yes, I'm excited about this. Let's see. Ryan Kennedy said San Fran plays in Arizona. SJSU is the better team from Casey. Let's see. Birdie said, I did not think Chip was a coach that likes to run the football. That's going back to UCLA. Yes.
Chip ran the ball all over Oregon. That spread offense, that was the most impressive thing about it back in the day, was everyone just thinks because they put all these points up that it was all through the air. It actually wasn't.
It was just getting their guys in space.
A running quarterback, everybody open in space, and yeah, they ran the football all day long.
Ryan said over on this game, talking about Nevada and San Jose State.
I thought so too, because I think the line should be around 58-62.
Yeah.
I would, as long as it's around below 60, I would go over. What about your boy Mark over here calling out
Nevada with the best wide receiver in college football.
Yeah. You got a bone to pick with that?
No, I think you're trying to get me to talk about Devonta Smith. There are some really, really good wide receivers.
I agree with that.
Like there certainly are. The kid at Arkansas State.
I was just about to say there's some G5 kids that'd like to have this conversation.
You better believe that. You better believe that. So yeah, I like San Jose State, especially less than a field goal. I think they get this undefeated season. I think they go into the.
I do too. I like Norvell a lot, but I think this is San Jose's take.
I think
and
so.
We're getting Boise State, San Jose State.
Let's move into interesting games. But again, go ahead and remind everybody, we're not going to talk about every game. You can hit us up on Twitter, and we will respond to whatever you want to talk about. Any of these games, we had some guys asking about Buffalo and Akron. Buffalo should eat the line's 32. I still think they're going to be able to kill them because Akron's run defense is putrid. Anyway, with that said, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Gary WCE.
I'm at Chris B. Giannini.
And you can shop the lines over on SBR. Go to sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. Click on odds up at the top. Very easy to do. Go shop your lines. Figure out which book gives it for you. It's good stuff. Heath jumps in, asks, did they cancel Purdue and Indiana? Not yet.
Not yet. No,
Not yet.
We're still getting it as of today.
As of today, yeah. Purdue canceled practice today until they get some results back.
Ryan Kinley said best wide receiver in Nevada. So we'll give him that.
Yeah, I can certainly give him that.
Yeah, knowing on UNLV teams, gonna give him a fight.
Let's move to Utah and Colorado, another Friday night game. This one is at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time on FS1. So these will be going kind of simultaneously. Colorado, a 2-point favorite, total of 49.5. Prediction Tracker has it Colorado minus 1.61. Colorado undefeated, and USC had to back out of their game against them earlier. These are the only two undefeated teams in the Pac-12 right now. That's USC and Colorado. There's no love for Carl Durrell, man.
No, he is not getting the credit he should deserve in this game, in this conference, in this season. Not enough people are talking about him, and I think it's a problem.
Yes, I do as well. What he has built there is awesome. Utah, it just depends on what week it is, what team is going to show up. Like, they are still going to be a smash mouth, like tough, beat you at the line of scrimmage type of team. I think Colorado, amazingly, has more weapons. They have more of an ability to score. This offense is giving people fits. You know, it's not that they're putting up a ton of points, but they create different ways to score. I do kind of like Colorado in this spot.
Well, that's an official gambling pick of mine. I like Colorado. I don't think they're getting credit. I don't think they're getting love. I don't think they're getting it from the media, and I don't think they're getting it from the bookmakers.
And now, so another part of it, Casey jumps in. He said, Colorado has had a great year. I'm leaning Utah.
That's fine.
And William jumps in, love Colorado. Give me some Ralphie. So here's the thing. We always talk about chicanery.
Yeah.
And all that. Now, if the Pac-12 does not want to have to deal with the idea that they've got an undefeated team sitting out because they had something like, then we might see something crazy.
We might. You know how you fix that? You don't let it go to the ref's hands.
Yes.
You keep it from the stripes and you whoop their butt.
Yeah.
Because if you whoop their butt, they can't take it from you.
Not a lot of people out there that can whip Utah's butt.
I don't know. You don't think so? Because it's happened a couple times already.
Well, I mean, USC whipped up on them pretty good, but that wasn't a whipping. Like, it was, 33-17, but they didn't beat them at the line of scrimmage. Like, they just they threw over the top.
The refs couldn't take it away from them.
Agreed.
When you're beating somebody that bad, it don't matter.
You are correct. All right, moving on to the SEC Saturday morning football. Georgia at Missouri. This one's coming to you from Como. Georgia, a 13-point favorite, total of 52 here. It's 12 p.m. Eastern time on the SEC Network. Georgia, on the prediction tracker, only favored by 8.87.
Yeah, I think this number is crazy too big.
I agree. Georgia has not shown an ability to stop the deep ball at all. Their passing defense has not been effective against really anybody.
Nope.
Like anybody with a pulse on offense. And Missouri, under Eli Drinkwitz, now that they've got Connor Bazelak going, I mean, that offense is kind of rolling, man.
No, it's not kind of rolling. It's Gary. It's rolling, man.
It's certainly rolling.
It looks good. And this defense is no joke.
Yeah.
They're not the doormat that they were when the season started or what they were last year. This defense is getting better as the season goes on. That's mark of very good coaching.
Well, so when Drinkwitz came in, he kept the defensive coordinator that Barry Odom had there.
Right.
And Missouri's defense has been pretty good. Now, before the season, you could look back and say, but if you look at, the offensive efficiency of the teams that they played and this and that. And well, the other part of that, as far as those stats go, is Missouri made them look bad, and that's part of those stats.
Right.
So
I just like the idea that they've improved.
Yes.
That's
now, they didn't look like it last week, but I got to tell you, part of that Arkansas game was a little fluky, if only because KJ Fuller was making his first start ever, and it was like last second. Hey,
no, they prepared all week for Felipe, and nobody had a clue. Even if you don't know if Felipe is going, you don't even know what this. You can't scout this kid. Yeah,
didn't even know.
Well, nobody knew. I don't even think the coaches knew until game of, like minutes before. This was I don't know if I said this on the Monday show or not, but this was a Josh like a Chargers type situation.
Oh yeah. Josh, not Allen. Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert. Yeah. This is Justin Herbert situation. Minutes before game time. Hey kid, you're in.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's just weird.
So there was no preparing for it. Different style guy and totally different thing. So
Birdie jumps in. He said Missouri has to have a letdown here, don't they? That was a real emotional win versus Arkansas last week, fading Missouri this week. So here's the thing. That Missouri-Arkansas rivalry is, I mean, that's not Alabama, Auburn, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, like that kind of thing. When Missouri's got Georgia coming into town, they're going to be up for that game.
It's a made-up rivalry. My buddy that I hung out with last weekend, he's a big Arkansas fan. He's lived in Arkansas his whole life. He's been in Arkansas. He literally, and everyone around him could care less about that game.
Yeah.
That's just the crossover team in the East that got manufactured when they joined the SEC because they both were a part of the old Southwest.
Yes. James jumps in. He said, Georgia has a quarterback now. They do, but they still had, like, that quarterback came in and they beat Mississippi State by 7.
Yeah.
Like they looked great against a terrible South Carolina team that had fired their coach and that had a bunch of players opt out and all that. Like,
call me skeptical still.
Yeah, I'm still there. I still don't know what to make of this Georgia team. I just don't know that Georgia, without anything to play for, is going to come out and light the world on fire. So that's I lean Missouri. I don't even lean Missouri. I'm betting Missouri. That's going to be an official play.
Gambling.
That's going to be an official play. And so, I do really like Missouri here, especially morning game in Columbia. Georgia has to get woken up, and all. It's just, that's the way it goes. Heath says, Chris, I like playing your SBR picks. Let's see. ATM to Mob said, my guys, much love from Auburn, Alabama. That's what I'm talking about.
How are you, sir?
Absolutely good to have you in here. Let's see. Willie Jones said, damn, I forgot about Georgia. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, you know why? Because they're easily forgettable.
Yes. They're not in the playoff race, so like nobody's really talking about them. And part of the reason is because they have looked lackluster against everybody but South Carolina.
Yeah,
so
that don't count.
You got it. Another interesting game. Let's move on. UAB and Rice. That's what I'm talking about. We got a CUSA game. Rice with a monster win. We had to give the Owls some love.
Yes.
Rice with a monster win over Marshall last week. Beat them 20-0.
Broke my heart. I did not handle that well.
The line opened.
Didn't even bet it. Don't care. Just really upset me.
This is a 1 p.m. Eastern time game on ESPN3. UAB, now a 7.5 point favorite, total of 44. It opened at 9. It has been bet down. A lot of love for Rice. How much of last week was a fluke?
I don't know that I'm going to use the word fluke. I do know
5 interceptions is pretty crazy. Grant Wells had not done that all year.
Yes. Really bothered me. It didn't handle it well. You know how I feel about Bill Clark.
Yes.
I have strong emotional love for this man. I can't see Rice doing it 2 weeks in a row. If they do it to me 2 weeks in a row, I'm not going to handle that well.
62% of the bets are on Rice right now.
Good.
And we've got several people down here. Rice, hands down. UAB hasn't played forever. That was Mark. Let's see. Casey said, I think Rice got canceled. Nope, it hadn't gotten canceled.
No, it's not canceled. We're playing.
Ryan said Rice killed Marshall. Heath said Rice all the way. That's all the more reason why I would probably take
y'all
UAB.
keep piling on. I'll wait till closer to game time. I'll get a better number, and
Yeah, if you can get it under a touchdown,
me and old Bill are gonna roll.
there you go.
I'll drive down to Birmingham. I'll buy the steak.
All right, let's keep this train moving. Purdue at Indiana. It's a big time matchup in Bloomington, if only because it's a rivalry game, right? I don't expect a whole lot out of Purdue. Plummer has not shown to be a very good quarterback. The line currently sits Indiana minus 10.5, opened at 13.
It did open at 13.
It has come all the way down. People, a lot of love for Purdue this week. Rivalry setting, I get it, right? It, is what it is. But I like Indiana a lot. Prediction Tracker has got this Indiana minus 18. 18.
So that makes sense to me. I think Purdue's going to have a hard time scoring. And this is a guy that loves Jeff Brom. I don't know that there's anybody in the country that can guard more. I think Bell is the best number 2 receiver in football. Like, I still think this Indiana defense has, when they gave Ohio State fits, this ain't Ohio State.
Agreed.
I think they're going to find a way to make Plummer look like a plumber.
Well, and that's what he's looked like all year so far.
Now he's going up against a legit defense.
I think Tuttle can
and
throw the football.
Great defensive mind.
He showed that he could actually, because they had schemes where they had guys open that dropped passes last week, all that against Wisconsin. Now, Wisconsin's defense is not Purdue's. No. Indiana is going to put up points this weekend. And if you don't think that the guys in Bloomington are going to want to run the score up on Purdue,
no, they absolutely do.
Like, there is hatred here.
Like, this is a rivalry game. Purdue's defense has had a shining light of, they've given some teams fits running the football. This is one of those situations where the injury might help them a little bit, because I don't think they're going to try to necessarily run the football. I think they're going to say, let's open the offensive playbook up. We got a quarterback that can throw the ball, and he's not great at running.
Yeah.
So let's try to not get the run game going, and let's just see what we can do spreading them out.
And if anybody thinks that there is an emotional letdown or anything like that for Indiana after a win over Wisconsin, there's not, because Indiana is now slotted for a spot in the New Year's Six.
We thought emotional letdown after Ohio State. Then we thought emotional. We keep doubting this team so much.
They're 7-0 against the spread.
The collective we, because it ain't me, it ain't you.
No, like we are all on the Tom Allen train.
Oh yes.
100%. Purdue, by the way, 4-0 against the spread, 2-2 straight up in their last 4 against Indiana. So, but I don't think that's right. I think I looked at that wrong.
What was that stat again?
4-0 straight up, 2-2 against the spread against Indiana. But I don't.
That doesn't surprise me. Purdue's been really good in the past. Since Brom's been there, I bet he has owned them.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I'm gonna bet he's owned them in the past.
Yeah, Indiana 0-3 against the spread against Purdue the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Here we go. No. It's 1-2 straight up against Purdue.
Okay. I think
they won. I think they won last year.
Yeah.
But yes, either way, if they get a chance to pile on points, 100% they will, because they want to go to a New Year's Six game.
Yeah.
100%. So moving on, and we're gonna kind of fly through the rest of these. We see it's getting a little later than we planned.
Let's roll.
Birdie said this is the game you fade Indiana.
I've been saying that a lot, and people have been saying that, and I've just been saying I'm just riding this horse.
Yeah, it's kind of like Coastal Carolina
to the end. Like, that's right.
It is what it is. This is a rivalry game. This is not an emotional letdown spot. So, no. All right, moving on. Washington heads over to Eugene, Oregon, to face off against the Ducks. And goodness gracious, Oregon a 6-point favorite, total of 55. It's 4 p.m. Eastern time on Fox. Prediction Tracker has Oregon minus 5.11. Oregon has not looked good really all season, nope. but really not good the past few weeks.
Correct.
The loss to Cal was shocking.
Real bad.
The loss to Oregon State. Oregon State's played better, so it's like, okay, but they were still
the way the game
favorites.
went.
Yes.
The way the game went, they dominated them for 3 quarters.
Yes.
And Oregon State said, no, I'm gonna keep fighting. You quit, and Oregon quit.
Oregon has the players to be able to win this game. Now, Washington was surprising last week with their loss to Stanford, right? Because they just got bully balled.
Yes. That was a trench game,
and they got whipped.
Yep.
by a homeless football team. I mean,
that
just
hasn't
ridiculous.
been good all year.
So now Washington, of course, has to go on the road to Eugene against a team that probably is pretty down on itself, but I would imagine they are looking to come out and send a message.
Well, I think they're going to be. I think both these teams have to be up for this game. The winner of this team is going to the Pac-12 championship,
which is insane.
Which is why I could care less about it, because I think it's a sham.
It is. I mean, it's still division winners. He jumps in. He said, this is a great matchup. Casey said, laugh out loud. I mean, refs are going to help Oregon win this game, but they're both trash. I wouldn't imagine that happens, because there's just as much pull for Washington as there is for Oregon. Like, this year doesn't really
whoever
matter.
you think has the best chance to lose to USC is who you want in this game if you're the Pac-12.
Pretty much. And I have no idea who that was.
And I'm about to say, I don't know what the answer to that is.
Me either. If I had to lean away, I would lean Oregon, because I hadn't believed in Washington all year. Like, I just did not think this team was going to be
Oregon
very
definitely has the trench play to push them around the way Stanford did.
Yeah.
I mean, their offensive line and their defensive front
they're young,
comparable to Stanford.
Yes.
So,
well, they're better than Stanford.
Well, they're better, but they're younger.
They are definitely
in
younger.
in a weird season where experience matters kind of more than talent so much. But
that's true.
I still think they can push Washington around.
Yeah, I think you're right. Auburn and Mississippi State. Moving on to SEC nighttime football on Saturday. The Tigers headed to the Bulldogs, and it's in Starkville, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on the SEC Network. Prediction trackers got Auburn minus 8.55. This line has been bit down to 6.5.
Yep, it opened at 9, and we've come a long way down.
Long way down. A lot of rumors coming out of Auburn, Alabama this week.
That's right. We've got a pants on fire situation in Auburn. It ain't from telling tales.
So you asked me this question before, like, will Auburn fight for Gus Malzahn? And I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that. I do think his players like him.
Yes,
I do think his players want to fight for him. But if
they've already lost 4 games,
if you feel like your coach is about to be done wrongly, and you're a player and you want to fight for him, do you kind of mentally, we're playing psychologists.
Yes.
We're trying to figure out what 18, 19, 20-year-old kids are thinking.
Like, what's their motivation to play this weekend?
Yeah.
Mississippi State, we know.
Oh, yeah.
They are going to fight.
They're going to fight. They don't have the talent in this game. If it's talent versus talent, this should be Auburn 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
They don't have the talent to fight. They've got the fight, though.
Yeah, Casey jumps in. I think I like Mississippi State money line. Mark jumps in. Auburn.
I didn't even think of money line. I was just thinking State and the points.
Mark said Auburn needs to get rid of Gus. James said Auburn bounce back.
Auburn's capable, talent-wise, on the field. They're capable of whipping somebody's butt.
Yes.
We've seen it happen.
The other issue is that Auburn is not consistent, and overall, they're just not a very good football team. They're not cohesive.
I need to know how much of that offensive line is coming back.
Casey jumps in with, all players want to play hard because they know NFL scouts are always watching. That don't always matter.
When you're 18, 19 years old, you tend to forget NFL scouts are watching. You go out with the mentality of, I'm going to fight real hard, and then you get hit in the face and like, I don't know that I want to be here.
Maybe I'm going to go sit on the bench and act like I got an injury or something.
Yeah.
You never know. Alex jumps in. He said, great interplay between you both. Insights. Thank you, Alex. We appreciate that. So anytime somebody says something nice, we're going to read that thing. Bernie said last week the game Auburn got up for, another letdown spot for me. I'm with Casey, I think. I don't know that Auburn got up for that game last week. I mean, I do.
I think that was their week to make the statement, and they couldn't get it done.
And now they got to go on the road, and the season's over, and they've already lost 4 games, and now there's all these rumors.
Mississippi State didn't miss a game because of COVID. Mississippi State had a bye week. The SEC took their game away from them.
Yeah.
They had 2 weeks to prepare for this.
That's true.
This is not a missed week for COVID.
So Heath Harrelson jumps in. He said Mississippi State has a good defense.
And that's an understatement.
Let me go on and tell you guys. We had somebody jump in on one of our shows and tell us that Bo Nix won Freshman of the Year last year. Yes, that is technically true. But that was not because of what he did on the football field. You go look at his stats this year, look at his stats last year. It's pretty much identical, and it ain't good. Bo Nix is not a good quarterback. And Mississippi State is going to be able to get pressure on him. And when you get pressure on him, he cannot complete a pass. Like, I'm kind of talking myself into state here. I don't know.
I've got it as a gambling pick. You know that. You've known that since Sunday when we saw the lines. I think Leach finally has these guys fighting. I saw him take 48 scholarship players to Georgia and give Georgia all the hell in the world where they didn't have any business being in that football game at all. I saw him take 3 players to Oxford in a big rivalry game and do the exact same thing. We're talking about hardly no scholarship guys, tons of walk-ons. Nobody knows who these guys are. And Rodgers is a quarterback, baby.
Yeah. He makes fantastic decisions as opposed to KJ Costello.
Well, it's not just decisions. That dude was dropping balls in buckets.
Did you see him punch that referee? That's so good.
He didn't put. He was.
I know he was doing
He was fist pumping, and the ref
got in the way.
Face happened to be in the way.
Yes. All right, let's move off of that one. We got 2 more, and we got to roll. So let's move on. Virginia at Virginia Tech. Now, this is a rivalry game. These 2 teams do not like each other. Virginia Tech is favored by 2 at home, total of 62. I'm going to tell you, official play for me, Virginia, money line. Like, I like Virginia plus the 2. Going to put about half on that, put the other half on the Virginia money line because I think they just win this game outright. Virginia Tech finds new ways to beat themselves every single week. There's a ton of rumors coming out of Blacksburg that this could be Fuente's last game. Even if it's not, I don't know that those players actually care about this, which is crazy because it's a rivalry. It's weird. Like, Virginia Tech is not a very good football team, and they should be. Talent-wise, the numbers say that Virginia Tech should be favored by a point here. I don't buy it. It's 8 p.m. Eastern time on the ACC Network, by the way. I think Virginia is the far more fundamentally sound team in the spot, and I will take that all day.
Yeah, I usually like that. This is the analogy I used the other day was tortoise in the hare. Virginia's just going to show up, and they're going to do what they do, and they're not going to make any mistakes. They're not going to turn the ball over, and they're not going to commit penalties, and they're not going to do anything to hurt themselves, and they're just going to play their game.
Yes.
And Virginia Tech does a lot of sloppy, careless, bad football play, even though they're the better football team.
Yeah.
My fear is if Virginia Tech plays their best game and Virginia plays their best game, I think Tech beats them and they beat them kind of soundly. The issue is Virginia Tech hasn't played their best game maybe since the North Carolina game.
And that one they got beat by 2 touchdowns.
I was saying they still lost, but that's the best game they've played all year.
Yes, agreed. What do you trust happening?
Well, no,
I trust Virginia.
Right. You know how much I liked Fuente.
I know, but
it's just a disappointment. It's wrong. He's not the right fit. He's not the right guy. It's too big of a job. I don't know the answer. I don't know what happened. Bronco Mendenhall is a grown-up in the room that seems to have control of his football team.
Yes, and he is developing players at a fantastic rate. I'm all over Virginia here. All right, last game that we're going to talk about. This is the late night game. So if you need to get caught up on your bets, all that kind of stuff, not that we're telling you that you need to be chasing or anything, but San Diego State heads to BYU. The Cougars coming off of a massive loss at Coastal Carolina, cost them an undefeated season, might have cost them a New Year's 6 spot. BYU minus 16.5 right now. Now, they came up from 14. 49.5 is the total here. It's 10 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN2. Prediction Tracker has this BYU minus 17.03. And I think it's probably right. Like, San Diego State has the number 1 yards per play defense in the country. However, we've also seen them against a team like Colorado. And Colorado was just able to outman them.
Yep.
And BYU...
You're just not big enough, strong enough, and fast enough to hang with BYU.
Yes. Now, we thought that about Coastal, and it didn't... But
Coastal
it was different.
San Diego State.
Completely different.
Close to the same.
Right. San Diego State does not have the offensive scheme to be able to stay in this ballgame.
No, sir.
I think BYU gets off the mat and comes back pretty hard here.
I love betting really good football teams coming off losses.
Yes.
I think they're well coached. I think they're the better talented team. I think they were the better talented team last week, but they weren't the better coached football team. I think I love these teams coming off because it doesn't matter the opponent. They don't have to hate the opponent. It doesn't have to be a rivalry situation. It's just I got to get this taste out of my mouth. And how do I'm just going to beat the hell out of the next guy in front of me. Well, you just happen to be the next guy in front of them, San Diego State. Sorry.
You are correct.
You were just standing in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Ryan Kennedy said this is a good beer drinking game.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too.
I mean, I really do. I could be just way wrong on this. I think this is going to be, if I had to pick a rocking chair game, this is going to be the rocking chair game.
I think
it's going to be the one that after the 5 minutes in, 10 minutes into the second quarter, I'm going to think, well, I'm good.
Chad Nelson said BYU had like 2 days to prepare against Coastal. BYU is a top 10 team, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Coastal is good, but they got lucky. No, they didn't get lucky. They had a fantastic game plan, and they knew it.
Yeah. How do you beat offenses that put up 40, 50 points?
You keep the football away from them.
You just don't let them touch the field, but 8 times.
38 minutes of time of possession.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, let's move into the picks, and we are going to get this show on the road. These are my picks, and I've got a ton of them. So go ahead and make sure that you keep up. Obviously, you can go back and watch the video again, get them all knocked out. I'm 46, 50, and 2. That's okay. I'm getting off the schneid this week. We're getting back right with the Lord, and let's do this thing. Central Michigan plus 11.5 against Toledo. Yeah, Toledo looked pretty good last week against a bad football team. Central Michigan is not a bad football team. I think that they keep it well within the number here. This looks like a touchdown game to me. Give me the fighting Jim McElwains to cover that 11.5. Virginia plus 2.5 against Virginia Tech. Already told you why I like that game. You can still find 2.5s out there. I think Virginia wins the game outright. Already talked to you about Purdue and Indiana. I like Indiana minus 10.5 here. I think that they score, not at will, but they score plenty of points, and I don't think Purdue can score. So rolling with the Hoosiers there. App State and Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern has won the last 2. They have got the formula to be able to beat App State. This thing is sitting at 9.5. There's a lot of action coming in on App State, and the line isn't moving because they're keeping it under that 10. I've seen these lines happen like this before. I'm taking Georgia Southern. They got a shot to win the game. I also think that this can be a touchdown ball game, right? Because there's not going to be a ton of points scored. Georgia Southern runs that triple option. This is a rivalry game. They hate each other. Give me Georgia Southern plus 9.5. Georgia at Missouri. Give me the Tigers. 13.5 at home. I think that they can stay in this game with Georgia. Georgia, obviously, the much more talented team, but what are they playing for? What's the motivation? I think Missouri, with a chance at an upset here, give me the 13.5. North Carolina at Miami. Already talked about it earlier. Give me the Hurricanes minus 3. A 1-loss season, a New Year's 6 game matters big time for this program and for Manny Diaz. All these players want that to hang on the mantle. Give me Miami. Wake Forest, a 2-point underdog at Louisville. What are we even doing here? Like, this is ridiculous. Wake Forest is a substantially better team. They're substantially better coached, which I know is weird to say with Scott Satterfield being on the other sideline. But Dave Clawson has this team rolling. They hadn't played in a little while. I think they're itching to get back on the field. Give me Wake Forest plus 2. Now I've got some totals here. Give me Navy's team total under 14.5. We talked about that in the first game. Give me Wake Forest team total over 30.5. Like, I don't even know who's making these lines. Like, that's just ridiculous. Wake Forest will put up points here. Boise and Wyoming over 47.5. Boise has nearly scored 47 in every game by themselves. Now, Wyoming's defense is legit, and they do like to run the football. I love Craig Bowl, but in this situation, I do think both teams will be able to put up points. And Boise has already, they have shown that they can score on special teams, they can score on defense, et cetera, et cetera. So give me the over 47.5, Boise and Wyoming. Moving into Chris's picks.
I'm going to start off Friday. Arizona State minus 11. I think that the coaching matchup here is not close. I think the talent matchup here, it's closer, but it ain't real close. I think Arizona State's just a substantially better football team. 2 touchdowns. I like them. I think they'll beat Arizona. Moving on, Friday, another game. Colorado minus 1 against Utah.
Riding with the fighting Carl Durrells.
I'm just gonna keep playing this guy until everybody else catches up. I haven't seen anything from Utah that impresses me at all. Everybody keeps saying that Utah is a better team, that Utah is they're blinded by what they saw Utah do last year.
Yeah.
And I do a really good job of separating seasons. I don't like last year's stats. I don't care about any of that stuff. New year, new day, new me. I think Colorado is the better football team from top to bottom. Maybe not the quarterback position. They're not elite. They're not great, but they're just a well-coached, very, very good football team.
They don't make mistakes.
Yeah. Give me Colorado. Give me the Buffalo. I'm riding them. Mississippi State at home plus 6.5 against Auburn. Give me a team that is fighting like hell. They are clawing and scratching with the fingernails to get every inch of everything that any game has. On defense, they're fighting, giving everybody fits. On offense, they're fighting, giving everybody fits. They are figuring this thing out. This is the most fun Leach team the last 3 weeks that I have seen. Basically the last 2 games against opponents that are way more talented than them. Auburn, once again, way more talented than them. Don't care. I'll take the team with fight every time. I might lose, but I'm going to go down with guys swinging for the fences. Washington State, Rolo bouncing back. Not 5 turnovers against Cal. This Cal team is just not good. Plus 2.5. I have no idea how Cal's favored against anybody.
Agree. This one didn't make much sense to me. Washington State finally got their guys back in time to practice this
Washington State getting drummed, Cal beating Oregon. That is what the last thing we all saw. Guess what? You got to put that out of your mind. New week, new day, moving on. Next team, Rolo, gonna roll. Wrong team favorite. UCLA. This is Chip Kelly's time to bounce back. This is Chip Kelly's time to say, hey, big brother, not this time. I'm taking over LA. I'm taking over LA. This is where Clay Helton's going to find his problems. Is if he can't beat UCLA, it didn't matter what he did all the way up to this point. Got to protect the football, UCLA, plus 3. The rocking chair game, my favorite game of the night. BYU minus 16. It almost, there's no number that really scares me. It's not going to get to 20 or 21. I think BYU, I think San Diego State's a good team. We like them a lot. I've bet them several times this year. I'm a fan. They're just about to run in front of a train, and I can't do anything about that. This train is going to roll, and there's nobody stopping them. Boise State minus 11. You brought this game up. Wyoming is better than some of the teams they've played this year. I think Boise State is significantly better.
Wyoming gave up 34 points to Colorado State.
Yep. That's going to be a problem this game. I don't know that their defense is good enough to hold Boise from scoring. I think Boise's defense is good enough to slow down Wyoming. Give me Boise State minus the 11. I got Pitt last 2. I got Pitt
That's
minus.
a Thursday night game, right?
The Pitt game is Thursday night. Thursday night football. Pitt minus 6.5 at Georgia Tech. I just haven't believed in Georgia Tech all year. It's bit me a couple of times. Might bite me again.
They're young. They're inconsistent.
I think
more often than not, they're just not going to play well.
I'm gonna go with the more talented football team. I think they're better on defense. I think they're better on offense. There's not a point in the game where I think Georgia Tech has an advantage. So I'll lay the 6.5, less than a touchdown, and I'm with you on Mizzou. You said everything I need to say. I think this offense is rolling. I think this defense is better than average in the SEC. I think this will be Georgia's one of their tougher defensive battles that they'll have.
Yes, I agree.
I think they'll struggle to stop this team from scoring.
Yep, I agree. All right, let's move into the parlays and teasers, and then we'll let you get out of here. We appreciate, again, everybody hanging out with us. Parlays and teasers. The money line parlay of the week. I got a 10-teamer, and it's crazy. I understand, but it's a bunch of big favorites, all that good stuff. Oklahoma, Alabama, Miami of Ohio, Northwestern, Buffalo, Coastal Carolina, Texas, Boise, Florida, and Hawaii. Pays out at plus 161, $100 to win 161, whatever. So, again, as I say every week, all they got to do is win.
That's all.
You know who cost me last week? Friggin' Marshall. Like, what in the hell? Anyway,
this is why you don't play these things.
I know. But hey, it's fun. At $10 to win 16, something just to have a little skin in the game if you don't like any of the lines is what it is. All right. 7-point teaser. These are plus 200 if you do a 4-teamer. So I've got Coastal minus 6.5. I've got Wisconsin and Iowa under 49.5. I've got App State, Georgia Southern under 52. And I've got USC, UCLA over 54.5. I like all these.
Yep. So you brought up Coastal. It's not a big enough game. Troy's just doesn't matter. This game doesn't matter. We want to talk about Coastal every week. There's just too many games to cover. I'm going to be riding Coastal.
Yeah, Jamie Chadwell.
Until the day I die.
We all over Jamie Chadwell and that bunch is what it is. Next week, they got Louisiana. Big time spot.
That is what I'm looking forward to.
Yes, sir. Give me that rematch. Give me another top 25 game, and let's do this thing. Let's get Coastal into the New Year's Six. All right, Cincy, how about you play some games? All right, I'm just saying.
Trying.
It was their fault this time. Anyway, we're getting out of here. We are going to go and watch this NFL game that's going on with the Ravens and the Cowboys. So we'll go ahead and tell you before we get out of here, head over to sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. Do us that favor. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We will be back again on Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time for our closing line show. Make sure you jump in the comments. Tell us what your picks are, all that good stuff. And make sure that you share the show out. Tell your buddies about it, all that good stuff. The SBR Pick 6, that's sbrpicks.com/PICK and the number 6. Go and sign up. It's free to enter NFL picks and college picks. You can win up to $1,600 in cash prizes every single weekend. And again, follow us on Twitter. If we didn't talk about your game, just hit us up. Let us know. We'll let you know what we think about Buffalo and Akron or whatever, right?
Well, we had a couple of people ask questions. We don't do question and answers on this show because it goes too long. Saturday morning, hit us up. We make sure to leave a block of time to answer questions.
Absolutely. So
hit any game we don't hit.
You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Gary WCE.
I'm at Chris B. Giannini.
So let's anything else we need to hit?
I think
we're good.
That's it, brother.
That should be it. We ran long, but we appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. For sportsbookreview.com, I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And we will see you again Saturday morning.